Last week was a holiday week. We were celebrating, as some people were celebrating, the 4th of July, the nation's independence. And fortunately, at least for when you have holidays, you tend to have slow media weeks. These stories are truncated and things don't get as much airplay as they would. Oftentimes, if you're going to let a story out, you bury it on either a holiday or a Friday, hoping that it doesn't get much coverage. And so, in some ways, we're fortunate. Venus Williams, the media was having a bit of a field day, accusing her of being responsible for the death of someone in a car accident. I remember we talked about it briefly, and I talked about how unfortunate it was, but it didn't get a lot of play until I think she went to a tennis match. I think is it Wimbledon, right?
That's right.
And started crying because she felt bad. A reporter asked her a question. She started crying. Then days later, we found out, because the tape was released, that she was not at fault at all for the accident. Even the description of the accident seemed dubious. Like blaming her for having an accident and somebody dying 2 weeks later of a heart attack seemed to be a bridge too far for me, but that was what the media was reporting. Turns out, having the tape, that she was absolutely not in the wrong. There is a propensity by the media for them to put out stories, particularly when it comes to someone of color, and to have a slanted opinion. I remember when OJ was on the cover of a magazine, they darkened him to make him look more sinister. And I think this story had the outlook that she was guilty and that she had done this thing and it was horrible, and turned out that wasn't the case at all. And it could have been easily solved had they just went to the tape, had they just looked at it. I remember when the young kid got killed out in the suburb outside of Dallas, the police chief believed the story until he actually looked at the tape. How come we so often look before we leave? Particularly when it comes to black people, we're so often ready to demonize them and give everybody the benefit of the doubt but them. Venus Williams had nothing to do with that accident. She was in the right. It's unfortunate, but her character was besmirched. And even the description, like I said earlier, was dubious. It didn't look like something that was sinister. But there's always this tone with the media, particularly when it comes to someone of color, to make them look darker, more sinister, more malevolent. It just seemed I'm just sorry that she had to go through, because you could tell that it happened to her. You could tell how deeply she was struck by it when she was going through the tournament. So I just want to say on behalf of the media that they owe you an apology, although you'll never get one. That your character was besmirched, and it shouldn't have been, and that you were as human, and you handled that as well as anybody could. You didn't get there and say, I didn't do it. You didn't blame anybody. You took the weight even when it wasn't even yours to bear. She was innocent of something. People always hear the accusation. They never hear the result of it. And the result is that she was not guilty of this. It's hard to apologize when you're pulling your knife out of somebody. I'm sorry it happened. It'll happen to a lot more people. But I'm very proud of the way she handled it, and the media owes her an apology. So we'll apologize to our eight listeners. Venus, we're sorry.
We're sorry.
All right, that's a Hallmark card for us. All right, that's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.